Still not working?
Join me every Tuesday for fun and games and play for cash. That's right. Sylvia Mint, the fun word guessing game is back and you can come aboard and play. It's simple. Just email us your name and contact information and you are in there, baby. Yeah.
Hey, this is Smooth Tim and Larry E, and welcome to another episode of Tim's Tidbits. Hey, Larry, how you doing, man?
So what's up? You good?
I'm good. I am so good. Enjoying this weather.
Yeah, no, right? Right in time for St. Patrick's Day.
St. Patty. That's why we're wearing our green, right?
Yes, the day of the Irish, when all white people get drunk and go out there crazy.
Go out and drink some green beer.
And some black people get mixed in, some Mexicans, but you know, they be thinking like it's some extra stuff going on. It's a parade. They look around like, what the hell kind of parade is this? But
and especially, well, if there's alcohol involved, you know we're going to get people involved.
Oh, yeah.
So otherwise, hey, man, let's get on to the show. You know, recently, the U.S. decided it after numerous delays for one reason and or the other. They decided to compile the census, right? And I had a little video because I was like, you know I participated in the census, but a lot of other people that I've talked to, you know, didn't participate in the census for one reason and or the other. Either they didn't get it and or nobody ever came around, right?
Right.
So that's going to hurt us. Let's take a look at this video and get back to some discussion on this.
All right.
Today, the U.S. Census Bureau released a report looking at the accuracy of its 2020 population count and whether it missed key groups of people across the country. Lisa Desjardins has more.
Judy, after review, the census found miscounts with multiple groups. The official census number overcounted two groups, non-Hispanic whites and Asians, but it undercounted Blacks, Native Americans living on reservations, and Hispanics by even more. To talk more about those miscounts and what they mean, I'm joined by NPR national correspondent Hansi Lo Wang. Hansi, let's just start with those overcounts and undercounts, especially the undercounts. Exactly how large were they? What are we talking about here?
Well, we're talking about undercounts that for Latinos, more than 3 times the net undercount rate compared to 2010. That's a dramatic increase. And for Black people and for Native Americans living on reservations, they are numerically higher net undercount rates, but the Census Bureau says they're not statistically any different. But still, the bottom line here is that there is this racial gap between people of color, generally speaking, and people who identify as white and not Hispanic. And for what's also interesting is that you do see an overcounting of Asian Americans, which was not seen in 2010. And just to be clear, it's also not clear exactly how well the Census Bureau did in counting Pacific Islanders.
I want to play the sound, some of the concerns that we heard from some of these groups today. Listen to some of this.
Some 4 million plus, maybe as many as 5 million, Black people have been missed. And perhaps an equal number of people of Hispanic and Latino descent have been missed. Is a tragedy and an act of near malfeasance and incompetence.
Today we learned that this census was really a 5-alarm fire when it comes to Latinos. The undercount of Latinos has tripled between 2010 and 2020. And I think that has significant implications for the entire country.
Not just concern there, you and I were both on the call with the Census Bureau. There seemed to be some anger from some of these groups as well. Can you help us understand, why is this happening? What do we know about why some groups in the official census number just are not counted as they really exist?
This is a long-standing flaw with census numbers going back decades. This trend is not new. And what is new is that in 2020, we had the pandemic, coronavirus, just as counting was getting really started nationwide, the outbreaks were happening. And we had years of interference from former President Donald Trump's administration, beginning most notably with that failed push to add a citizenship question to the forms. It did not end up on the forms, but it stirred up a lot of controversy, a lot of fear, a lot of uncertainty from a lot of households, especially those with immigrants living in them, of whether or not to participate in the census. And then during counting in 2020, the former President Donald Trump's administration ended counting early. All of these factors raise the risk of undercounting people of color, because research has shown that the way to get those groups counted is through that person-to-person interaction, in-person door knocking, interviews, not necessarily counting on households to fill out a form and to essentially participate in the census on their own. And so that's a really major factors here of why we're seeing a really bad report card in many ways for the Census Bureau.
Yeah, like you said, it's a trend that's been going on for years, and I think, like you said, Trump administration has made it worse.
Yeah, they didn't help at all, and we'll discuss this, but I've got a video that will back up some of the claims that this gentleman made. And yeah, I mean, you cannot undercount, a neighborhood because of, its ethnic or economical position, and expect that neighborhood to be able to improve itself and or recover.
Nope, can't do it. Better count it.
I mean, because
funding won't go there because they won't get funded.
I mean,
schools for anything. It's
everything. You're right. Do you want a new school in your neighborhood? You want a library in your neighborhood? You want a playground in your neighborhood? You want your street?
Hospitals, clinics, all that stuff. It all adds up.
And these people who, for one reason and or the other, neglect to participate. Well, shame on you if you complain.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, but we know. Like you said, it's a trend. This is nothing new. And look at our economy and look at discrimination and racism in America. It started way back then. But you would think that as us moving forward as people, not as black people or white people or Hispanic people, or as people that are not savages, you would think we would combine each other's efforts to make it better for each other. But it's just trending up.
And I believe, right, you need to encourage people too, participate in some of this stuff, even when it comes to voting. Don't sit back and not vote and then complain because the government sucks.
Yeah.
That makes no sense. And also, when it comes to this, speaking of that shit, with the census, that's how you draw these boundary lines when it comes to who's your representative.
Yeah, and two, though, why don't the census find better ways to get people to come out?
I don't know.
You know what? All I know is when it's a concert, people are coming out. When there's some kind of turkey giveaway, people are coming out. All these events that you're getting free stuff or giving money to other people for something, or the celebrities, they're always talking about rock the vote, come out to this concert, do this, come out to the census. It starts with the census. It starts with the census. It starts your infrastructure of your neighborhood, your community. The census, you want to get counted, you want to be part of America. They're like that one asshole of the week, he said, Americans and black people.
You know what? And then you have people interfering with us trying to get exactly that done. Let's take a look at that, because as I said, the guy that made those particular accusations about, Trump's people interfering with the election, well, there's some evidence that backs that up.
The Trump administration's attempt to subvert democracy ran deeper than we knew. According to a newly released email first reported by the New York Times, the Trump administration engaged in an unprecedented level of interference in the 2020 census. The email, which was distributed amongst census officials in September of 2020, showed administration officials pressured the Bureau to end the census count early. If Trump lost to Biden in November, the administration would use the new population estimates to determine the number of seats in the House of Representatives before leaving office. Census officials balked at the administration's meddling, raising 5 instances of political interference they planned to raise with the Secretary of Commerce. In one instance, the administration attempted to blow past the 14th Amendment and have the Census Bureau exclude unauthorized immigrants from the population count, a move that would have politically benefited Republicans when congressional districts were redrawn. Joining me to discuss, Hansi Lo Wang, NPR national correspondent, covering this story. So, Mr. Wang, this is just fascinating and also disturbing on so many levels. Just walk us through how the Census Bureau, the kind of bureaucrats in the Census Bureau were able to fight back against what the administration was trying to do.
Well, there was a lot of concern from the career civil servants at the Census Bureau when the Trump administration wanted to interfere with a lot of the methodologies, procedures in preparing and carrying out what the Census Bureau tried to do, a complete and accurate once-a-decade count of every person living in the country. This is what's required by the Constitution. And like you said, this determines how many House seats each state gets, how many electoral college votes each state gets, as well as big implications on federal funding distribution to local communities around the country. And the Trump administration wanted to have a bigger hand, play a bigger role in determining some of these small decisions that really determine ultimately how complete and accurate a census is. And these emails that the Brennan Center for Justice at New York University Law School, they obtained through a FOIA lawsuit, and they shared with the New York Times as well as with other media outlets. These emails show civil servants standing up and documenting the exact scope of the Trump administration officials, these political appointees, exactly what they were interested in. They were particularly interested in getting a state-by-state count of unauthorized immigrants. They were particularly interested in getting citizenship data that could have been used to possibly benefit Republicans during redistricting. And they were very interested in cutting short the census, the counting, and really pushing the Census Bureau to take shortcuts, to streamline a lot of procedures that the Census Bureau had planned for in order to have a complete count. And these are procedures revolving filling in gaps in the data, checking the count for errors, as well as protecting people's privacy. These are all procedures that the Census Bureau felt this is the domain of civil servants, of the experts, and not of political appointees. But the Trump administration officials had a lot of interest and asked a lot of questions and really put a lot of alarm in Census Bureau officials who felt that this should not be the domain of political appointees.
And there you have it.
Yeah, you know what? It made a lot of sense because you don't want immigrants. You don't want because a lot of people that come to America, most of them, if they're considered immigrants or if they're American citizens, they're on the lower side money-wise, they're going to vote Democrat. Because the Democrats are kicking out more money to help people in need, like, subsidies and housing and stuff like that.
More, they are more geared towards the economically depressed.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes sense. It makes sense why they would do that.
But I mean,
it's cool though how they got the Asian dude as a correspondent though. That's cool though.
Oh, and he was laying it out. He's like, how did the Asian count was like way up, but the Hispanic and blacks are like
the Asian guy. Yeah, they mixed it up. Yeah, but it's a scam though, man. At the end of the day, it's all about numbers.
Well, it is about numbers. I seen on the television that Texas, and I know that, and that's a Republican state, and they did a real good job of getting census out. They gained 2 more seats
for Republicans.
Yeah, for Republicans.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they didn't go to South Dallas and West Dallas and Oak Cliff. They didn't go to like the hood areas. A black chick knocked on my door, but I thought it was Jehovah's Witness. So I wasn't answering that shit.
What you trying to say?
She should have had like a name tag on that said census. I'd have answered it then and said, "Look, come on in." I gave her something to eat, gave her a drink and everything. Let's get this done.
Trying to say South Dallas is not the neighborhood they wanted to canvass?
They're not doing that. They'll go to the neighborhoods where they know they can get good votes, and they want to make sure, not good votes, but they want to get good information. And that's a scam. That's how it is.
Call it like it is. They like good. They would like good white votes.
But Tim, check it out though. This is how it works. They're in charge. Okay, they're in charge. Those people are in charge. If those people were in charge, you know what I'm trying to say? It'd have been different too, though, because then they would have been counted out. You see what I'm saying?
But
it depends on who's in charge. Now,
but then
in
again,
America, we know who's in charge, so this is how it works.
But it goes full circle to get out and vote.
Get out and vote, but then
and I mean, if you
now they got voter suppression, they doing all
there's some
they know the power.
You know how there's some people in your state that you'd like to say, man, I'd love to vote him out of office. I can't stand him. You know, go make the difference. I don't care if he's Republican, Democrat, what he is. If you can't stand his ass, make a difference and vote.
Yeah, it starts with your local government, your community. Once you get your community right, vote for these judges and these sheriffs and all that. You keep bumping your game up and keep voting higher and higher. You know, that's how it goes.
Oh, yeah. I mean, some of these people, they're running on 5-6 terms. You're like, are you ever going to leave office?
A lot of people don't care. You know, like a lot of people are stagnant. They're standing still. They cool where they are. They're content with what's going on.
Very complacent.
And complacency is how it works in America too. So we gotta just we're enlightening them though.
You shot something to me and I thought it was just funnier than shit. And not really funny, but I mean really what it's coming down to. And that was these people that are stealing gas. Let me get into that. and the inventive way, actually. I mean, these people are getting inventive. Hey, check it out.
Back here at home, those record gas prices, the national average for a gallon of gas hitting $4.32. Now, police around the country have a new warning about gas thieves. Transportation correspondent Gio Benitez joins us now with more on all of that. Good morning, Gio.
Hey, Robin, good morning. The national average is holding steady at $4.32 a gallon, but experts say that may not last. And now police all across this country, they want you to be very mindful about where you park because of these gas thieves. This morning, as the cost of gas spikes across the nation,
there's no way that all these people are affording this.
A new warning about thieves at the pump. Take a look at this video. While it may look like nothing is happening here, the manager at a gas station in Houston says thieves are taking thousands of dollars worth of gas, 360 gallons per day for 3 days from the underground tank.
The van drives on top of the fuel tank, and then that's all you see. No one comes out. So they have a trap door inside their vehicle, which is crazy.
In fact, he says they tried to come back for a 4th day, but the manager chased them away. Cases of gas theft are popping up all over the country, from California to Virginia. In Washington state, the Everett Police Department is issuing a new warning about people siphoning gas, writing on Facebook, while some thieves use rubber hoses to siphon fuel out, we are seeing modern-day thieves use power tools to drill a hole in the gas tank and steal fuel. Victims are often left with huge bills.
I think the frequency of people drilling in gas tanks has increased. Part of it has to do with the increase of gasoline here in the near term, but also over the past 12 months.
And experts say if you can, park your car in your garage or at least a well-lit area near your home. Meanwhile, on Wednesday, Uber says it's going to start charging a surcharge of up to 55 cents per trip. They say that all of that money is going to go directly to the workers, George.
Okay, Jeff.
Okay. Now, I work with loss prevention.
Yeah.
Okay. With those gas tanks, they got a top on it. You take the top off, and then you have another port where the gas guy puts the gas in there and it goes into the underground tank. In between there's a lot that's on the gas port that you open up. All you do is lock it.
Oh, so so that's some negligence on the station owner's part. That's what you're saying.
If you ain't locking it, it makes it easy for them because now it depends on how big the hole is that they're ciphering it from. They got a big enough hole, they can cut it with a bolt cutter. But that's an inside job because who knows that? I know that. I can steal gas and get away with it because I know the whole process of it. Then I worked in petroleum in the military too. I was a petroleum guy. We basically just bring the gas truck, stick it in there, open it up, and pour it into the hole.
Mm-hmm.
You close the top, you lock it, then you put the top back on there. So, but it's funny, and it's not even tragic. The only tragic part about it is the cost of them losing money is going to be put back on the consumer.
Absolutely. And or there you go again to where you're going to put somebody out of business.
Yeah, that's going to go back on the consumer.
And then it's going to be
that person that's working there, which is a consumer.
You're going to have a neighborhood with no gas stations. Besides, because you decided not to participate in the census, you don't have libraries and schools. Now you don't have a gas station because you stole all his gas.
It's all tied together.
It is all tied together. Come on, man.
I'm like not putting a lock on the gas thing, and but at the end of the day, who parks on top of the gas? How can I say the inlets?
I have no idea. I thought it was interesting when they was talking about these people that get under your car and drill a hole and drain your gas tank. I'm like, you know, it was a while back ago they'd get under there and steal your catalytic converter, right?
Yeah, but so, Tim, that's dangerous though. Think about you drilling a hole in somebody's gas tank and it sparks and it catches fire.
I think the guy said most of them are made out of plastic anymore, and or they have like a little drain valve.
It's made out of plastic. Well, see, it's a while since I've been up under the mess of the gas tank, but it makes sense if it's plastic. It has a little thing on it or whatever. But you got to understand too, in Mexico, the cartels in Mexico, nobody knows this. The cartels in Mexico are bigger than just drugs. They human traffic, and they steal gas out of the gas lines in the ground. A lot of people don't know that. And even if you watch Netflix with the El Chapo or the Narcs, they never put that on there. And that's one of the biggest money-making things in Mexico for the cartels, stealing gasoline. And that's they've been doing that the whole time. So
they somehow tap into the gas supply lines, huh?
Yeah, they go ahead and tap into the gas supply line and they siphon the gas out of the gas supply line. That's a big money maker. If people don't believe me, look it up. It's a big money maker in Mexico. The cartels are doing that. So that's why I'm not even shocked. I'm like, the United States is behind the power curve. They've been doing that. You know, they're just a little bit more smarter about it. They probably got a big old tank in their van. They siphoning it out. So.
Okay, I wrote that down. Maybe we could look that up and talk about it next week.
Yeah, look that up, man. The cartels in Mexico.
The cartels stealing gas.
Drugs, human trafficking, and they siphoning gas at the gas lines. Okay.
Man, they got beans. I thought they had enough gas.
Gee, man, you can't mess with it. We need to have a whole show about cartels because they don't play around. Not a gangster or a thug, a cartel.
I'm gonna mute you.
Oh,
we ain't gonna talk about no cartels.
Okay, you don't want to do that? Enlighten.
I'd rather have Trump people coming after me.
Man, I watched El Chapo. Okay, let's move on because you don't watch El Chapo and Narcs. It was entertaining. It was very, very informative.
But anyhow, you know, and then it kind of made me think a little bit too. You know, you sent me another suggestion about the women in Texas that their case finally came around to where they got convicted for how many millions of dollars was that in food assistance theft?
Was it 10?
It was like $10 million. They'd been doing it for some years.
Crazy.
But, you know, the interesting thing is, and it's kind of like, well, you know, I thought to myself, well, that's nothing new. I mean, it goes on all the time.
Yeah.
Is the fact that this woman ran like a corner store kind of place. Right? And so she was in the hood, and I mean, people were selling her stamps for cash. And I mean, there's a lot of people out there, and especially now, and that comes right back into, look at the price of everything. Look at what's happening to even healthcare, all this. And, you know, the need for people to either fuel their vehicle or, you know, provide their child or themselves medical care. And there's a choice between, am I going to eat or am I going to sell some stamps?
Yeah, that's just another typical hustle because
I mean,
I've seen it. It happens all the time.
It happens all the time.
I never seen it to that magnitude though, to make so much money. It's crazy.
That is insane. I mean, you know, but it happens. And I can understand why the individual that's selling their stamps, either, you know, their credits or whatever we want to call it, I understand. Times are tough.
Yeah, I'm like, you got to understand.
I am sympathetic, or I guess empathetic to it. I don't really understand.
Money is more important than plastic because a dollar bill, that green, would get you more than a piece of plastic would because you're limited with what you can buy with credit.
If you can get credit.
Yeah, credit. See, that's like government credit, not real credit. So the government credit can only get you so far, but real credit gets you a lot further. So if you can make a few dollars off that government credit and somebody else can make more, then you gotta do what you gotta do. You gotta hustle.
There you go.
Not saying it's right.
No, I'm not saying it's right. No, it's still a crime, right?
Yeah.
But hey, I can emphasize. Let's move on. The daylight savings time debate. Larry, should we stick with daylight savings time? Do you like this spring forward, fall back scenario every year? I mean, does it wear on you, or doesn't it? You don't care one way or the other.
Me, it doesn't, because I know what it's about. I know the history of it. So
let's get into a little video on this and what actually some experts say, as well as, what's going on in politics about it. Because I think, who knows, we could be getting away from even having daylight savings time in maybe 50% of the states.
Time to lock the clock. Today, the Senate passed the Sunshine Protection Act.
That means no more moving the clock forward or backwards. If the House follows suit, it would make daylight saving time permanent. Nico Clemens explains.
The daylight saving time started more than 100 years ago. This bill could make spring forward and fall back a thing of the past. A reaction is mixed.
Oh, yeah.
Sunday and Kimberly Padanu aren't fans of changing their clocks twice a year. They say when it gets dark early,
you basically feel as though it's time to go to bed. And sometimes we're still at work.
They're all in for daylight saving time all the time.
I would prefer to stay the way it is now, where it gets later, where it gets darker later.
The Sunshine Protection Act cleared a major hurdle Tuesday. The bill would allow you to stay in a full year of daylight saving time rather than having to change your clocks in March and in November. It now heads to the House of Representatives. The bill's sponsor, Senator Marco Rubio, says that this is an idea whose time has come.
For example, reduce crime as there's light later in the day. We've seen decreases in child obesity, a decrease in seasonal depression that many feel during standard time.
A 2021 Economist YouGov poll found 63% of Americans want to eliminate the changing of the clocks. But there's still 16% who feel the opposite.
I do not like when it's dark in the mornings and I have to go to school.
Addison Halls feels differently about daylight saving time than her mom does. The 10-year-old says she gets more motivated for school when it's bright out in the morning.
Well, I just kind of want to be active. And I get motivation when it's bright, and then I get kind of less motivation to be kind of lazy when it's dark.
The CDC says deadly car accidents increased by 6% when we switched to daylight saving time. The Sunshine Protection Act, it would make it permanent starting in 2023. In Tampa, I'm Nico Clemens, 8 on your side.
They're going to change it.
I think they're going to change it too.
They got a lot of valid points. Makes a lot of sense. The whole point, you want to get on the daylight, when we get the history about daylight savings time, or you want to get that?
I'm sorry?
You want me to tell the viewers about the history of daylight savings time, or do you want to talk about it?
Go ahead.
Well, the history is with daylight savings time, it allowed farmers to get extra time, daylight, to harvest the farms, to feed America, to feed the country or whatever. There's a whole point of it with daylight savings time. If I'm correct, daylight savings time is possibly, it happens in the spring, around the springtime, when harvests are fuller and more prosperous. Am I right?
Correct.
And there was a purpose of daylight savings time.
And this goes into planting season. Correct.
Planting season. I forgot what president that put that in place, but that's the whole purpose of daylight savings time, is to give the farmers an advantage to take care of their crops and work, because they have to work their crops. Now, I guess the emphasis, since we took the Bible out of school, we took everything out of school and church and all that, we've taken all that away. I said, let's get rid of one of our oldest traditions in America, daylight savings time. I don't agree with it. It could be troublesome, I guess, but at the end of the day, you need to be prepared for it. It is what it is. That's part of America. That's part of our history as Americans, which I'm American, and you're an American. It's part of our history. That's what we do. Daylight savings time is part of our culture. Everyone's culture in America. It should be part of Asian culture, Hispanic culture, African American culture, white culture. Every culture that lives in America, that's part of our culture now. And this is how it goes. And that's the history behind it. Daylight savings time helps the farmers farm their crops.
But now let's look at what else is interwoven and all that. And if you look back 800 years, when you're looking into the 1920s. Now wait a minute. This is when it all started. Daylight savings time back in the 20s and 30s, when you had economical hardships, you had world wars going on, you didn't have the modernization of the farm implements that they do today. So, I mean, they didn't have these great big harvesters with lights all over them that they could run after. I mean, those weren't available to them, you know, and they had very limited resources because most of the men were at war, right?
Yeah, but you know, I look at it like this too, Tim. Though daylight savings time to me is like soul food to a black person. It's like Elvis to white people. It's like living la vida loca to Hispanics. Yeah, that's part of our culture.
I got no use for it.
We can't get rid of everything, man.
You can.
We can't.
You can get rid of that.
With the Republicans and Democrats, we're gonna get rid of daylight.
Yeah, let's get rid of them.
I'm gonna get rid of them. Yeah, I'm just saying. It's just I'm kind of a throwback dude, old fashioned. I think that's something that keeps us. That's part of America. That's part of our culture. That's part of our country. But I understand all the other things. The 10-year-old, she can keep that to herself because I ain't listen to a 10-year-old.
Now, if you're that big a throwback, I've seen on TV that CDs are making a comeback, so you can go, you know, all your collection, all your Motown collection, all that is just kind of be.
Yeah, I rock my CDs though, because it's our culture, man. I'm waiting for tapes to come back, and when they come back, then I'm gonna dub them.
I bet you had a big old 8-track player in your first ride.
Well, I was a battle rapper when I was younger, so I had the big old radio, the double tape deck. You know, I used to go walk around my radio and battle rap people.
You was carrying it around.
Yeah, that's my era. I had the tape deck. That shows how old I am. I had the tape, wasn't the CD. Back in the day, the first CD was about this big. But then
Wait a minute.
The first DVD player. Remember that? You remember that?
Oh, you're talking about betas. The betas.
They was a big old John disc, and then they made it smaller.
Yeah, they were like about the size of a dictionary.
Yeah, okay, let's move on, man. I don't want to throw back too much, but you remember that because I don't. I caught the tail end.
I don't really remember that. No, I'm not that old, man. Hey, you know what? While we got a moment, I gotta give some analytics shout outs from people that were in viewers from last show. In the United States, Canada, Great Britain, Mexico, France, Denmark, Jamaica, and New Zealand. Thank you all for tuning into our show. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes. Building traction, baby.
Muy gracias.
I gotta stop sniffing because my allergies are terrible.
Yeah, they're gonna think you're a cokehead and shit. You know that? Yeah, I know what he's training on. Training on the Coke Olympics.
Like during the breaks, I'd be like, yeah, look, this is allergies. And I went swimming today. I swam today, so.
Maybe it's the chlorine.
No, my allergies are terrible. You know Texas, you've been here.
Man, you know what? And I am so much better since I left.
I need to leave Texas. It sucks.
Yeah, my allergies.
I was gonna call and tell you one show. I say, bro, I can't make it because my allergies are too bad. I would have to go out the room and like sniff and blow my nose and then come back because I didn't want to mess the show up.
Well, it's a dogwood that's coming down out of Austin in the hills.
It's bad here in
You know,
Texas.
people don't I mean, they got it looks like a cloud up in the sky, but it's coming along the ground and it's just nothing but that dogwood
and it's
pollen.
yellow. You saw the yellow stuff?
Mm-hmm.
The yellow is like, and it's like you really can't. It'd be hot, cold, warm. It does everything within a 1 week. You would get every season and it just destroys your allergies.
And that pollen, though, that it does. It comes in like a fog. It's incredible. You can see it.
So, America, viewers, if I sniff a lot, forgive me, because I'm stuck here in Texas.
Because you're cocaine.
And I suffer from allergy issues. I suffer.
Stop it. Hey, man. You know what? Yeah, I mean, we're all following what's going on in Ukraine, right? I mean, this stuff is insane. Anyhow, you know, did you catch on the news the Russian reporter?
I heard American reporter got shot, didn't he?
Oh, yeah. Well, an American, two reporters, one has been injured. He's back, and one he's deceased. Yeah.
Yeah, was it
apparently the car got.
Is he back down in Ukraine?
I'm not sure. No, what I'm talking about is, check this out. This is actually how Putin has pretty much censored what's going on in the Ukraine. A Russian reporter, I guess, said enough is enough. Check this out.
I'm ashamed that I allowed lies to be told from TV screens, that I allowed Russian people to be zombified. We stayed quiet when all of this was just getting started in 2014. We didn't come out to protest when the Kremlin poisoned Navalny. We simply continued watching in silence this inhumane regime. Now the whole world turned away from us. 10 generations of our descendants won't be able to wash away the shame of this fratricidal war.
It's that moment that has been seen all around the world by this point. We showed this to you yesterday. That is the brave journalist who burst onto Russian state TV protesting the war in Ukraine. Her message, which she pre-recorded before this live protest on your screens now, calling what her country, Russia, is doing a crime and urging other Russians to speak out against it. She appeared in court today, received a fine of about $280 for that pre-recorded message. Afterwards, telling reporters that she hasn't slept in 2 days, wasn't allowed to make any phone calls or to see a lawyer. She could still face up to 15 years in prison for her television protest. Ukrainian President Zelensky had a message for her. He called her an example to other Russians, saying this, quote, "To those who are not afraid to protest before your country closes totally from the rest of the world, turning into a very big North Korea, you need to fight. You shouldn't miss your own chance." Joining us now, Congressman Jim Himes.
Ooh.
Damn, I'm like, she just put a message and was on TV.
And she put a target on her, didn't she?
Facing 15 years, I'm never going to Russia. I'm glad I'm American.
You know, that's the whole thing is, you know, you listen to so much conversation and then you finally do really see it. But, you know, and I don't believe everything that the media feeds me when you hear the Ukrainian citizens saying that I've got family in Russia and they don't even believe that this is going on.
Well,
but
she
then
said some key words, Tim. She said that this has been going on for a long time. So they knew about it. The world just now knowing about it. Am I right? Did she say it's been going on since 2014?
Well, it goes back to when you think about when they poisoned that, Putin poisoned that one guy that's one of his opponents. I can't think of what the dude's name was. But anyhow, and then again, you know, their reasoning for taking over Crimea. So, yeah, it's just like, it's always, you know, let's say, completely censored material that's allowed to come out in Russia on mainstream media.
And, you know, Russia is way more conservative than conservatives here in the United States. What I'm looking at, because even in the United States, you can do way more than that. No, okay, she did way less than what you can get away with in America. And they talking about 15 years in prison for her just doing what she did. Really? I know they're very conservative down there. They're very secretive. So they must be doing some real dirt in Russia. There's some stuff that's going on in Russia that we have no idea what's going on. We don't, but the government does. American government knows what's going on.
I mean, you know, if you see, that's the trouble. When you live into a government structured like that, to where they have control over media, and you know,
What kind of government is it over there? Is
communist.
It's not
communist.
Communist,
Dictatorship. Basically, it's a dictatorship.
Okay.
You got one guy telling the others, you know, he's got his advisors, just like a king.
Okay.
You know,
there
right?
You go, though. So
he's ruling the land, and you got these other, you know, puppets around him, right?
So they're pretty much super conservative when you go to communist governments. So
well, look what happens if you're gonna. Well, he went off on this one. I should have got the video when they were talking about maybe a few shows back. You seen when he was addressing his little cabinet. They were like 30 feet away in this little half circle. Remember we made fun of that?
Right.
There was a moment in there when his defense minister stood up and he propounded the question to him about the invasion of Ukraine, and his defense minister kind of stammered and stuttered, and I mean, Putin lit into his ass. Just told him to sit down. So, I mean, you know, you tell me, what are you there for? If that's how you're going to treat your people, so there you go, dictatorship. You know, yeah.
At least here in America, we have like a smoke screen where we cannot believe in dictatorship, but
I mean, we got something that semi-blocks that kind of crap, right?
Artificial freedom, you know what I'm saying?
But then again, you know, look what, you know, about a couple videos back, what they tried to do in the census and what they did accomplish, obviously, in the census.
Well, I really do. I think the census is the most powerful weapon that the government can have, period, because they can use a census to say, we have proof, it's evidence that these communities need these fundings. They have evidence and proof. And the other time is speculation, it's propaganda. It's
or
whatever,
we have proof that this particular place is harboring a lot of illegals that shouldn't even be on the system.
Yeah, and, you know,
that could be their debate.
You can do a census.
So I'm gonna cut some of your funds, Larry.
Yeah, you do a census, Tim, and drop to a rundown neighborhood and say, well, the census said this, even though the neighborhood looked like this.
Who knows? You know what? And I would love to. I thank my beautiful wife for coming and for bringing this one to my attention.
Oh, what she do?
Queen Sylvie.
What's up, Queen Sylvie? What you bring?
Anyhow, she had brought to my attention something real interesting, and I'm like, well, I want to look into that. And is there a problem that should be addressed, but it's a problem I think that we should have expected.
Here on the Medica border between Poland and Ukraine, former members of an elite French military force are helping to protect refugees who may be unaware that war isn't the only thing they're fleeing from.
This morning we found three men that was trying to get a bunch of women into a van. I cannot 100% say that they were trying to recruit them for sex trafficking, but when we started talking to them, when we approached them, they got nervous and they just left immediately. So we're just here to help.
Many Ukrainian refugees reaching border countries seek to reunite with friends or family members across Europe.
We are waiting for him.
After a 5-day car journey from the bombed city of Chernihiv, Irina seeks shelter on the Suret border between Romania and Ukraine. She is waiting on a friend in Berlin to arrange housing for her and her 2 children while her husband and parents stay behind. Help offered by strangers who greet her and other refugees is abundant, but so are the risks.
There are many very dangerous propositions from different people. They can offer us help for free to reach any country, but it's not true.
Along this border town, men offering free rides to women have been sent away. Plainclothed intelligence officers are on the lookout for criminal activity, and law enforcement teams are advising women arriving at the borders on how to stay safe.
Like I said, they should have seen that one coming, don't you think?
Yeah, and that's what happens. People in disparity, they make bad decisions, and they always try to take advantage of the weak.
Well, you think about it, that's how they harvest them here in the United States, the same way. They look for a youth that may be running away from home or drug dependent, who knows what, whatever. You can, when a person's down and out, yeah, that's when you can attack, and that's what they do.
You know, a lot of people don't know sex trafficking is big in the United States.
Huge.
Very big. They make a lot of money off that here. A lot of people don't know that. A lot of people don't know that. You got, if you look into criminology and start taking some courses or do some look into criminology, sex trafficking in the United States, other than drugs, it's up there with drugs, drug sales, of drugs.
Look at statistically and right where we live here in Toledo, Ohio. It's at the crossroads of the I-70, I-80, and I-75, and it is the #1 sex trafficking intersection, or whatever you want to call it, where they're moving people around in the United States.
Even if they're not trafficking from sex, they're taking them, making them illegal workers.
I mean, they are. I mean, it's a point to where they can run them north or south or east or west, here.
They're making them work for wages that are just ridiculous, or work for no wages at all. Or they will say, listen, since I got you here, you need to work off what it costs for you to get here. And they never let them work that off. They stay slave.
Yeah. Like a sharecropper. It'd be like sharecropping. Well, you gotta pay me for what I provided to you.
New slaves. That's why you gotta stay educated and you gotta stay smart.
Yeah, and don't fall into that crap. I feel sorry for these people because they're easy prey.
Yeah. Yeah.
They are in need, and and unfortunately, I found that kind of interesting, is that Ukrainians and Polish, completely different languages, even though they border one another.
I didn't know that. I thought I don't know.
So they're taking these Ukrainian children into their schools are getting overloaded, by the way, so they're going to need some help there. But they're taking these Ukrainian, and they're having bilingual educators in there so that they can teach them both languages. But no, and so there's another problem, I'm going to go into a foreign country where I don't necessarily speak the language, or I'm not really proficient at it. I'm going to run into some problems.
It's a lot of problems. It's like one thing. It's like a snowball effect. It starts with someone saying something, and then I don't like these guys over here, and then I'm going to move in on your property, and then I'm going to fight you back. And then now we got refugees. Now we got language differences because when's it going to end?
Look, it's no different here. Look at the hate. Look at the hate. Yeah. The hate. I want to play another video fact because I wanted to get into a little bit. I think it's almost like Putin's on a hate crime mission.
He hates America.
And I feel him no different in what happened. You got to check this out because this is insane.
To Westchester County, a woman from the Philippines recovering tonight from a vicious anti-Asian attack in Yonkers. CBS 2's Tony Aiello reports a suspect is charged with attempted murder as a hate crime and has a long criminal history.
Wendy Trinidad reacting with horror to the surveillance video of a hate crime committed in the lobby of her Yonkers building.
I'm in shock. I mean, I know nowadays a lot of mental issues, but that is just unbelievable.
It is hard to watch, so we won't show the worst of it. 42-year-old Tamel Esco assaulting his 67-year-old Asian neighbor. 125 punches, 7 vicious kicks, then spitting on her twice and using anti-Asian slurs. The victim, well liked by neighbors.
Across the country, violent crime is on the rise, and police chiefs believe one major policy change is at least partly behind the surge. From L.A.,
zero bail poses challenges.
To Chicago,
keeping violent offenders in jail longer will reduce violent crime.
To upstate New York.
How do you describe the state of where we are right now?
I think there certainly is fear.
The state of New York did away with cash bail for low-level offenders in 2019. That means those charged with some crimes aren't held in jail, but instead released until they stand trial.
I've seen them myself where certain individuals in my opinion, should not be released into our community. They make our community less safe.
Other states like California, Illinois, Kentucky, and New Mexico have made similar changes. And shortly after reform was enacted in New Jersey in 2017, June Rogers lost her 26-year-old son, Christian. The father of two was allegedly gunned down by a convicted felon who was arrested days before on a weapons charge and released.
You're angry over this bail reform in New Jersey.
Of course I am. You can't, I'm hurt, angry, all of that. I lost my child, and I don't believe this would have happened had it not been for bail reform.
She got a point.
Yeah.
And look at the guy that pulled off that attack on that Asian. That's it. The guy's got mental issues.
It makes me sad. Yeah, it does.
You know, and but you know, that goes into, you know, they're talking about keeping you know, violent offenders into jail longer. And that transitions into a whole new topic of, you know, the jail systems.
Make them more violent. They're not getting the mental health care they need.
And that's not where they belong.
Throwing somebody in jail and not addressing the issue of why they're in jail in the first place, it's not going to change anything. Because at the end of the day, if it's something that's not murder or assault, they're going to get out. And if they haven't had any counseling to prevent them from doing it again, they're going to do it again.
That will escalate.
And being in jail and being around other violent people only makes you violent. Because 9 times out of 10, they're not going to put them in a segregated cell. They're going to put them in with population, the general population. And then you have to conform in general population, just like you have to conform when you just out here as a civilian. You know, it's just the norm. So it happens.
Yeah.
And then a lot of times people can't make that transition from jail to not being in jail, or from, if you come from one country to another country, you know, you got to make that transition. So it's even worse when you have you're violent and you commit a heinous crime like that.
But you know what? And that's sometimes you need to listen to law enforcement when in this, and this speaking from experience and being in the field, and I've worked with people that they did not belong in jail. They belong in a mental institution. They never should have been in the system that they were in, right? Because they were in for, you know, assault, all kinds of different, you know, it could be voyeurism. This guy had a multitude of crap. Yes. And anyhow, they kept running him through the system, some BS. It got to the point, you know, to where after he was released one night, he had kidnapped a little 5-year-old boy, sodomized him, killed him, threw him in a dumpster. And we was like, we told you.
Well, Tim,
we told you multiple times that this guy needs to be locked up in the institution, not in the prison system.
It's 3 types of people that go to the prison system that go to jail. 3 types. It's only 3 types. And you can probably agree with me on this. You have people that have mental issues, and you shouldn't keep them in there. You got to address the mental issue. You have people that make bad decisions, and you have people that are just straight up assholes and dicks that are evil.
But they've defunded that. Yeah. They've defunded that, you know, mental health care.
Well, that's the only people you put in jail. Bad people, bad decision people, and then people with mental health issues. Other than that, that's the only people I see to go to jail.
And now you got jails that are overpopulated because you got people in there that don't belong there in the first place, or, you know, now you're getting into some privately owned jails, privately owned prisons now, you know.
Even people that make bad decisions, if they might have to go to jail and have to make even worse decisions because they're incarcerated with people that are bad, or people that have mental health issues they're not supposed to be in there. So think about that. It's a snowball effect. And at the end of the day, the justice system has to make the legitimate and make the right decision of who belongs, who doesn't belong, and they know. They know.
Well, obviously, man. Hey, we're about to wrap up the show real quick, and your favorite part, Larry, is who gets to be the asshole of the week. Well, you know what?
Don't put my sniffing and allergies on there.
No, but this is actually good news, but the guy is definitely an asshole.
Other news tonight in the arrest of the suspect wanted for allegedly shooting 5 homeless men in Washington, D.C. and New York City, killing 2 victims. Here's our Chief Justice correspondent, Pierre Thomas, now.
Tonight, the dramatic arrest of a man police feared wanted to be a serial killer. 30-year-old suspect Gerald Brevard III, accused of terrorizing the homeless in Washington, D.C. and New York City. Apprehended at 2:30 this morning in Washington. At first, he tries to run, but surrenders as ATF agents, guns drawn, move in.
We've got our man.
Brevard is accused of a crime spree where he allegedly shot 5 people, killing 2 over a span of 10 days beginning March 3rd. In this disturbing scene in New York City Saturday morning, the suspect kicks a homeless man, appears to look to see if anyone is watching, and then fatally shoots him. According to authorities, the attacks were random, and the suspect did not know the victims. The ballistics showing the same gun was used in both cities. Brevard has been charged with first-degree murder and 2 counts of assault in Washington. Additional charges are expected in New York. David, police say the suspect had a history of mental illness and violence. His father saying tonight the judicial system failed. David.
I think I just said that, didn't I?
Yeah, he's the asshole of the week, but damn,
But yeah, I can't believe that he just walked up for no random reason, but it'll be interesting to see what his motivation was or what his clique was up here.
No. Yeah, well, you trying to prevent people from being homeless by shooting them? I might give him a job. I might give him a haircut and talk to him or give him a hug or something. Why you got to shoot him?
Hey, well,
you prevent him from being homeless. You prevent him from being alive. I'm like, come on, bro.
And we live in a very violent society now. And that seems to bother me. And then we continually pass these bills. Ohio just passed a bill, to where anybody who can purchase a gun can conceal carry. You don't have to have any permits, kind of like with what Texas is doing with the open carry. But I think, but if you look at it, and statistically, and this is true, I've looked at this, is gun crimes against people are up. Well, yeah, because everybody's carrying frickin' guns. Hey, is that a shock?
I should have took a picture of this, but I drove by a sign in some country town I was driving. I forgot where it was. I'm in Texas, so pretty much all this stuff is country. The big old billboard said, to eliminate violence, purchase a gun, learn how to defend yourself. That's the sign said, to eliminate violence. So you telling people to eliminate violence, purchase a gun, defend yourself. You're insinuating violence.
Exactly.
And the signs, I should have took a picture of it, man.
Now, I understand why you didn't slow down and stop in the, urban Texas area.
I didn't want to get shot. They got that sign up. They're going to shoot a brother down there.
I got in a minute.
I saw a lot of people down there with their teeth missing. I'm like, no, this ain't my spot. There's too many toothless people down here.
There's a lot of people don't know. Yeah, just to the south of Dallas, maybe a little bit to the southwest of Dallas, is the kind of like where the founder and all the and the president of the Ku Klux Klan are from.
Yeah. Well, this is my thing. If I drive far enough where I stop seeing Hispanic people and black people, and I see mountains, I don't went too far out of too far in Texas, because you can drive across Texas and still be in Texas. Yeah, you'll see mountains and everything, but if I'm driven that far, I don't see no Mexicans or blacks, I need to turn back around.
I would have to think it probably would take you maybe 13, 14 hours to actually drive across Texas.
Texas sucks. You drive across Texas, it's like driving from the top of California from north to south, because California is the biggest state basically here in America when you come to the area. But Texas is, if you're driving wide, well,
think about it. If you drove from Amarillo down to down to the southern tip, you
start off, you'd be 30. When you get there, you'd be 45 years old.
Yeah, it's a big state. Very big state. No doubt about that, man. Okay. Anyhow, hey, now that we got past that, let's get to the other favorite part, Larry. I know you got to have your fitness tip of the week.
Yeah, LRE Fitness is my personal training business right now. You can actually find on Facebook at LRE Fitness Solutions, and you can find it on Instagram at Estelle Junior Larry, Estelle Junior Larry, and then pretty much you'll find it on there. I got all my stuff on there. But the tip of the week is do not overtrain. Do not overtrain. I'm a victim of it. Once I feel real good, I always overtrain and I injure something. I injured my knee recently because I overtrained. I did some training, which I didn't have my rest periods proper in between, and I pretty much overdid it. So now I'm suffering. Remember, listen to your body and stick with your training regimen where you're not going to injure yourself that prevents you from working out and training later in the week or later in the month. So, and if you feel tired, go ahead and take that break. As long as you're in a consistent program where you're working out 3 to 4 days out the week, your intensity is right, your volume is right, and you're doing your cardio and your weightlifting. So listen to your body, do not overtrain. And it's easy to overtrain when you feel good. So that's my tip of the week. Listen to your body, take your proper rest periods, do not overdo it.
Fantastic. Well, hey, my tip of the week is don't take any wooden nickels. And also log on to the Queen Sylvie Show on YouTube so you can catch up with all the episodes that I participate in, including the Tuesday show, the Queen Sylvie Show, Wednesday, which is today, on Tim's Tidbits, and then tomorrow night on the Now You Know Show.
Happy St. Patrick's Day, everyone.
Happy St. Patrick's Day, too. Yeah, don't drink too much green beer. Remember, the popo is going to be out there looking for you.
Drink, listen, if you're driving and you have a drink, put it down. So then when they stop you, you can say you weren't drinking and driving. You ain't drinking and driving when it's sitting right there.
Don't listen to that tip, folks. Until next week, we'll peace, man. You out of your mind.